I even wanted to have a bike shop when I was like 12. And I wanted a fireman's pole to commute to work. I'm one fireman's pole away from my childhood dream. I had a bike like all the kids in the neighborhood, but it wasn't until I was about 14 when I really wanted to go further than the neighborhood. So I got a 10 speed. And I grew up in New Jersey, and I remember it was 50 miles down to the Jersey Shore. And when my family would load up the station wagon and go down for the day, I would get up early and I would ride my bike down to the shore through the South Jersey pine barrens. People would slow down their car and roll down the window and be like, what are you doing out here? Because it is, that part of New Jersey is very rural. And then in the 8th grade, we had a project where we had to plan something from A to Z. And I planned this cross-country bicycle trip from the West Coast back to New Jersey. And my parents said, if you're still interested in doing that when you're 17 years old, you could do it. Thinking, you know, I'm in 8th grade, I'm gonna forget about it. But I didn't forget about it. And I found one friend who was into bikes. So the summer of 1976, the summer before our senior year, we flew to California with a tent and sleeping bags and just rode back. I'll tell you, we could have crossed the country with no money. People were so kind and so willing to help us. We came through Boulder and I was like, well, this looks pretty good. So I finished my senior year of high school in New Jersey, and by September 1977, I was here in Boulder as a freshman at the university. I graduated from the University of Colorado here in Boulder, and I was still working at the bike shop called The Spoke, just racing bikes for the team. And you know, people would come in, hey, you guys sell used bikes? No. Does anybody sell used bikes? No. Do you rent bikes? No. My landlord on Marine Street let me use his carriage house. And I started going back and forth to flea markets in Denver and bringing back used bikes. And it wasn't that much different than today. I ran a classified ad and I had an answering machine. And people would reach out, and if I didn't have a bike for them, I would make a list and call them when I did have a bike. You know, when I worked at The Spoke, I was making $7.50 an hour, which was pretty darn good back then. But now I was going down to the flea market and I would buy a really nice Raleigh 3-speed for $20. And then I could sell it that afternoon to somebody who was waiting, and I'd sell it for 75 bucks. So I'd come back with like 8 bikes at a time. Well, then I quit my job at The Spoke and was just working out of my house and garage, and I would rent the bikes. You got a bike, a helmet, and a lock for $2 a day. It was just, you know, working out of my house. It was great. Just was an opportunity. It was just wide open. And then it started to go so well, I closed it up and then went over bike touring in Europe by myself for about 6 months. And then I came back to Boulder and opened up the same concept, used bikes and rental, out of a basement down the street here on Pearl Street. Well, almost overnight, everybody wanted a mountain bike. It was 1985, mountain bikes were out, but there weren't any used mountain bikes yet. That was super rare. And again, nobody's renting bikes, but everybody wants to try it. So I bought a dozen. Takara was the brand. a nice Japanese-made, fully rigid steel mountain bike, and I rented the heck out of those. They were always out. And then I had a list of people who were like, when you sell these bikes, you call me. And so at the end of the season in November, I called everybody up and I would sell like all 12 of them in a day. And then I got 12 more and I would just keep churning that way. I was only in the basement like for 8 months, and then I moved to a portion of this building, but I was at least at street level at that point. So that's how it all started.
How old were you when this all started for you?
23. When I was in working out of the garage. First it was just me and my toolbox and 15 used bikes, and now I don't know how many bikes we have, but we have like 58 people working here. If I meet some stranger somewhere and they ask me, what do you do? And how many people work there? If I said 50, they would hear 15 because they had never heard of a bicycle shop with 50 employees. But the love of bikes, there was no outside influence. My family's all football, basketball, baseball. There was no cycling in the family. I thought it was great. So I'm very fortunate to have supportive parents, and I'm glad it has worked out, because I don't know how to do anything else really. I even wanted to have a bike shop when I was like 12. And I used to draw pictures of the shop, and I had an apartment upstairs. And I wanted a fireman's pole to commute to work. And as you know, I'm not in town that much. I sleep up here when I'm here. So I'm one fireman's pole away from my childhood dream.